Hello, this is Benjamin Fulford speaking on February 27th, 2026. And I'm pretty sure we've reached a turning point. I want you to take a look at this short clip of which shows what most people in the West now think about their leadership. Take a look.
Fuck yes, we're still talking about your fucking pedal pizza ring. Every fucking politician in our fucking country seem to be all implicated in like we're just all supposed to think it's normal for our government to sometimes diddle little kids. And bro, no, don't pretend you know what Bohemian Grove is. The faggiest place next to ever being you. Pretend you're one of us, but you one with them above the law like Joe Biden.
You know, the cat is out of the bag. There's no way they're going to be able to sweep this under the carpet. There's no way they're going to get away with this. And the other thing I want you to watch is this clip about the Talmud, because I think most people are also now aware of this, how it says that it's okay to kill goyim, which is like cattle, non-Jews. So take a look at this clip.
The Book of Talmud is, after the Hebrew Bible, the central text of Rabbinic Judaism and the primary source of Jewish religious law and Jewish theology. We have gathered a few rules from the book that Jews are taught to follow. Keep in mind, the word goyim in Hebrew means a non-Jew in English. Sophorim 15. Even the best of goyim should all be killed. Yebamoth 98a. All children of goyim are animals. Baba Meziah 114b. Gentiles goys are not humans. They are beasts. Gatshas 2. A Jew may violate but not marry a non-Jew girl. Sanderin 54b. A Jew may have sex with a child as long as the child is less than 9 years old. Tospot Jebamoth 84b. If you eat with a goy is the same as eating with a dog. Baba Meziah 24a. If a Jew finds an object lost by a goy, it does not have to be returned.
Now here's the thing I want people to understand. The Talmud is not Jewish. It's Babylonian. These are the ancient enemies of the Jews. It has nothing to do with Judaism, okay? And only 12% of Jews go to the synagogue every week. And those are the ones you got to be suspicious of, okay? 50% or more than 50% of Jews never go to synagogues and have nothing to do with this. So we don't want to be put together with these people because it's not the same. They're the ancient enemies of the Jews. Having said that, I'm not circumcised, but a lot of Jews are. And that, if you read the real Babylonian history, is a sign of a slave people. It's a ritual castration to show these people are slaves. Okay, so a lot of the Jews are slaves just as they think the Western peoples are slaves. And we're trying to liberate humanity from this satanic cult. And I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, and probably sooner rather than later, because the U.S. military is not taking their orders anymore, okay? Maybe the media is full of stuff about Iran, even though, you know, the vast majority of us couldn't give a damn about Iran and certainly don't want to start a war with them. You know, although I'd love to visit as a tourist, there's a lot of stuff to see there. But, you know, they're trying very, very hard to start World War III because they know that they are in very deep trouble. They're not going to get away with it this time. There's no way. I mean, the truth is coming out everywhere. Here's another example I wanted to show. This is, in this following clip, we have Anne Frank's sister. Okay, this is the famous Anne Frank from Anne Frank's diary that was supposedly written with a ball pen, even though ball pens were invented after World War II, but whatever. She is saying that the videos we're all shown of the Holocaust are fake, and that there's no snow when there should have been snow. And anyway, listen to her. She was there, all right? So she knows better than us.
There are many pictures about the Russian liberating Auschwitz, and there's never any snow. And the snow was honestly that high. Mm-hmm. And so I have some connection with the Russian embassy, and I was there once, and I said, something puzzles me. Those photos are fakes, because there's no snow. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, yes, they are not fakes, but when the army came, they didn't have cameras, they didn't photograph. So only much later, when they realized we should have pictures of it, they took pictures like you see now. But this is definitely not in Auschwitz and not the liberation of Auschwitz. There were not that many people with clothes and children and no snow. There are many pictures.
So I'm going to, avoid the subject of concentration camps any further than that. But the fact is that World War II was a mass slaughter of Russians, Chinese, Polish, Germans, and non-satanic Jews. And that is something we must not forget. And I think most of it was people being lined up against ditches and shot with machine guns, not gassed or anything like that. But it was a mass murder. But more importantly, okay, is that they're still doing it. And so, okay, maybe 80 years ago they killed a lot of people. Well, they've just killed millions of Ukrainians. Listen to this Ukrainian Canadian speak, his family is right on the border with Russia. Listen to what he has to say.
RCMP vans, RCMP in Calgary, in Alberta, he gets unmarked vans and starts driving the street, kidnapping men. You're walking on the street, you get pulled into the van, beaten up by the handle of a weapon, thrown into the back of the car, taken to the station, humiliated, beaten up again, abused, and then made sign of paperwork and thrown into the meat grinder to the front lines to die. Now, what is the way out? How do you get out of it? You either run or you have money. The market rate unofficially from the Ukrainians who came to Alberta is $1,000 bribe for you to get out. And if there is another unmarked RCMP van to stop by next to you in Ukraine and you don't have that extra $1,000, you might still go to war. And if you don't have the money, then you probably are dead. Then also, if you survive, maybe you're not dead, but anyways, also if you want to flee the country, you're not allowed to leave. It's like North Korea right now in Ukraine. If you're a man, you are not allowed to leave.
So we were filled with news reports about the Ukrainians fighting against the Russian mercenary company Wagner, right? And what was happening was they were rounding up Ukrainian men and sending them to certain areas, and then they would phone Wagner and give them the artillery coordinates, and they'd all die within 3 hours by being killed with artillery. Okay, this is a genocide of Ukrainian men that was taking place now, not 80 years ago. And the reason is because they want to remove these people from the land so they can create another Khazarian kingdom there. This is happening now. This is not happening 80 years ago. And the Russians, I have connections with Russian government officials, and they say Wagner has nothing to do with them. It's not a Russian company. They work with Zelensky, and they all report to the Rothschild family, okay? Their name appears 12,000 times in the Epstein papers, and Epstein says he works for the French Rothschilds. This is the De Rothschilds, and they're not the same as the British Rothschild, okay? They're not the same people. They were opposed to each other over the plan to kill 90% of humanity. So please remember that. It's the De Rothschild. It's the French and Swiss branches that are behind the World Economic Forum, that are behind this vaccine mass murder, and they've just been caught trying to, smuggle a nuclear weapon into Ukraine to once again start World War III. We don't want that to happen, okay? And they're still also trying to start World War III with Iran. Take a look at this clip from the U.S. I guess it's Congress.
I believe, Mr. Chair, that we just got a notification that the State Department is actually funding a new program to, I guess, with Starlink. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
I wouldn't want to speak on behalf of the State Department, but what I would share is that we've been investing in communication tools over years that allow for information to be sent into Iran even when internet connectivity is blocked. We specifically began supporting the deployment, the operation of about 200 Starlinks early on.
All right, you know what? I'm going to interrupt you. We better not talk about it. Okay, so what
it shows is that these Starlink terminals that were sent into Iran were sent by the State Department, not by the U.S. military. So the people who were trying to start this war with Iran were unable to get the U.S. military to fight on behalf of Israel. Israel no longer controls the U.S. military. This is important because that means that we're now in a position to round these people up and stage war crimes tribunals, which is what we need to do. This needs to be public, and the whole world needs to see that these people are never ever again being be allowed to put in positions of power, because they are very evil and they're trying to kill us and they think we're subhuman. And we have to remove all the people who were blackmailed by these criminals from positions of power. It's no coincidence that Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, Friedrich Merz, of the Chancellor of Germany, the fake Trump, and Macron in France are the least popular leaders in the history of their nations. That's because they are all Rothschild slaves. And the Rothschilds also tried to kill a huge percentage of the Chinese population. And the Chinese are not going to forget that. I've heard that action is being taken to take that clan down and out. And it's going to happen. There's no way we're going to let these people continue anymore. Well, the Epstein files showed that they tortured and murdered kids on an industrial scale. And they've been still actively trying to kill us. This is not something where we just sit back and say, oh, gee, too bad. The other thing is, of course, we have to remove their control of the mega corporations. That's the key. Otherwise, everything we're seeing on the internet is still going to be censored by these scumbags. And then they're going to still use their celebrities to do things like try to force us to eat bugs. Take a look at this little clip of celebrities telling us to eat bugs.
Little side note, 2 billion people in the world eat bugs, and I'm one of them. I'm telling you, that is a fruity taste. I'd recommend it.
This plant-based meat is not only amazingly delicious, but it's also better for you and better for the planet. It's a simple change that makes a really big difference.
Dinner! You want to share a spider? Hot?
Can I make one without flavor?
It's actually really good, the flavor.
That's an insect-based premium protein. This is a powder derived from the mealworm, and it's a insect protein just been approved by the EU.
It's protein. It's delicious, and it's delicious. Let me find the
And what does it taste like? Chicken?
It tastes like crickets.
Now, I have a confession to make. At one point, I thought it would be a good idea for us to eat bugs. And I have eaten bugs at food stalls in Thailand and in China. And some of them actually taste pretty good. But the fact is that our ancestors faced many times of famine. And if they could have eaten bugs, they would have. But the fact is, bugs have chitin, which is not, we can't tolerate that. If we eat too much, we'll get sick. So that's why we don't eat bugs. But, they were trying to get us to eat bugs, and they were very expensive. And this is the sort of thing they do. They use their celebrities to try to foist whatever agenda it is they have. And then, of course, they also, have all these politicians that they lured into Epstein Island and, then blackmailed. And here's one. I'm very disappointed, but listen to Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, suck up to Israel in this clip here.
On October 7, we feel your pain. We share your grief. India stands with Israel firmly, with full conviction in this moment and beyond.
Well, he was on Epstein Island, and he's betraying India because he's being blackmailed. I can see another explanation for this behavior, and I expect that he's not going to be in power much longer. That's my best guess, because that's not what the Indian people want or voted for. So, things are going to happen. And the other thing, and I'm going to stay neutral on this, but I've been told by British intelligence that Prince Andrew, who was arrested famously in all the newspapers, was arrested based on a fabricated photograph, and that the media companies who reported his arrest are going to face billions of dollars in lawsuits. Okay? I don't know the truth. Personally, I think he probably did go to the island and do bad things, but he's lower down in the totem pole. What we really need to go after are the higher-ups, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. And I know that today Hillary Clinton, Rockefeller, Hitler, of that bloodline, is testifying in enclosed hearings, and hopefully these hearings will show the video clip of her ripping the face off a young girl and torturing her to death together with Huma Abedin. And also, I'm hoping that they will uncover how the Rockefeller dynasty created cancer so they could kill large portions of our population while extracting money by, forcing them to take radiation and toxic medicines. This is mass murder. These people are beyond evil, and their control of the Fortune 500 companies needs to be taken away ASAP. The same with the Rothschilds. They must be removed from control of the world's central banks. And now that the Chinese New Year's is about to end, I will personally be lobbying for a new Bretton Woods conference to completely reboot the international financial system, to take it away from the control of the Satanists and give it back to the people. And this needs to be public. I was offered like a $50 trillion or a bond, and suddenly I'd be like the richest man on earth, richer than Elon Musk. But that's not how it should be done. It's got to be public. It's got to be, for the people and by the people and owned by the people. And this requires a big public conference. And we need to, right now, the system we have in the West and in China makes us not have children. And it pays huge profits to pharmaceutical companies to poison us. And they lose money if they cure us. So the system is fundamentally broken, and we need to hire experts. We need to have lots of discussion, and then we need to go through trial and error to figure out what works. But the basic agreement is that from now on, our purpose as a species is to increase the amount and variety of life, and that includes human lives. So more babies, more plants, more animals, more trees, more fish. That's what we should be working towards, and that's the big goal of this conference, that hopefully we will be able to start in March. But let us see. When we see these last puppet rulers fall, then we'll know it's ready. And I'll be pushing, every lever I can. I'll be calling every person I know to try to make this happen. And I'd like all my listeners to try to do the same. Let's make it happen. Let's set up a new system that actually works for the planet. Okay, well, let me just check my notes first. I was given information that the Chinese have been impregnating lots of blonde women to create long-term sleeper agents in the United States. I find that credible. I've been told before that most of the students at the Japanese military academy ended up marrying Chinese women without knowing it. And this is the sort of thing they do. They take a long-term approach, but you know what? At least they aren't trying to kill us all. Okay? We don't want to replace a world controlled by the Khazarian mafia with one controlled by Chinese secret societies. We want this to be for the whole planet, and that means a multipolar world. So that's the other thing. The Khazarian mafia have been trying to say, hey, we'll hand it over everything to you if you just protect us, and we don't want that either. And I'm pretty sure most Chinese don't want it either. But we have to be careful and we have to be wary. Okay, but the truth is how we're going to be able to keep this planet safe. The truth is going to set us free, and that is what's going to happen. The truth will set us free, and that's coming out now. The truth about Epstein is setting us free. The truth about the secret rulers is setting us free, and the truth about the mega corporations is all coming out, and we're going to change it. Let's all push. Let's make it happen. Okay, that's what I have to say for myself today. Now I'd like to answer questions from readers and viewers.
Hi, Ben. We have our first question for today. World Liberty Financial, 49% owned by the UAE, has backed a stablecoin that is backed by U.S. Treasuries, and Binance controls about 87% of USD1. Trump's son claims that USD1 will save and upgrade the dollar, but this seems like linguistic tongue twister trickery as a way to replace the dollar. In less than 18 months now, this coin is now listed as number 20 on the coin market cap, despite recent attacks by folks who see the danger in this backdoor. Do you and the Dragon Society support this, or is this just a fintech project done by the fake Trump?
This is definitely not supported by anyone serious. The UAE is a rogue state, and actually I'd like to say something about the UAE. They're the host to Telegram, and Telegram puts out all sorts of fake sites that rip off my work. They have people who impersonate me and try to sell people fraudulent cryptocurrency products. And no matter how many times we complain to Telegram, they don't take them down. And that's the UAE is responsible. So we're going to personally make the ruling family of the UAE, pay for this. And anything coming out of that country is not to be trusted. The UAE needs to have that whole ruling family removed because they've been working with the Satanists. It's obvious through all their actions. So stay away from there. Next question.
Hi, Ben. You failed to mention Trump's Board of Peace, which was approved by the UN, that now has 60 countries or so participating. Also, unlike his predecessors, Trump hasn't started any new wars. He is certainly threatened as a bargaining tool. He also knows the American people are sick of all the wars we have started, so is very unlikely to involve us in an actual ground war. Another thing is that it would be fantastic if the Iranian mullahs went down. This wouldn't actually be just for Israel. Iran has supported terrorists killing millions over the decades, besides ruining the once very advanced country that Iran was before the radical Muslims ran it into the ground. Also, the Zionists wouldn't benefit from losing Iran as their boogeyman when Iran falls back into the hands of Iranian people. The Zionists would need to come up with another excuse to continue killing its neighbors. Trump and the White Hat Alliance won't put up with the Zionist warmongers for much longer. What are your thoughts on this, as well as on the real Trump?
Okay, well, first of all, for years, they've been coming up with a story how about Iran's going to have nuclear weapons within a few months. They've been saying that for more than 30 years. And they'd escalate tensions, and then they would say, oh no, everything's going to calm down. And the oil price would shoot up and then shoot down. And each time, the Rothschilds would pay bribe money to the Iranians and the Israelis to keep this charade going. So there is a faction in Iran that is part of this scam to fool us all into World War III. But I've been in touch with Iranian officials, and their government is onto this now, and they're not going to let Iran be used as a foil with Israel to start World War III. And the other thing is, I don't think Iran is falling apart. I've seen pictures. It looks pretty prosperous to me. I'd have to go myself to visit, but I think that it's been put up as a much more of a boogeyman than it really is. Apparently the women don't have to wear veils or anything like that, but I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I do know that the Iranian officials I contact tell me that they're on to this attempt to start World War III, and they're not going to let it happen. So that's a good thing. And as far as Donald Trump is concerned, like I say, I have a U.S. Space Force sources and I have Pentagon sources, and they used to tell me the real Trump was hiding in Cheyenne Mountain or else is at the Pituvik Air Force Base, but he has not been seen since June of last year. And the one we're seeing now is an obvious fake, and he's obviously having a mental breakdown. I agree with what the original Trump was trying to do, and I support him, and I hope he comes back, but I haven't been able to get contact, and we've been trying and failing to get any sort of communications with the real Trump, unfortunately. Next question.
Hi, Ben. Do you believe that Ghislaine Maxwell is actually currently in jail, or have they replaced her, quote, in jail person with a body double, and is she free roaming around?
I'm pretty sure she's free and roaming around because she has the goods on all these people. And there's evidence that there's several different people playing the role of Ghislaine Maxwell. But I don't know for sure. Next question.
Hi, Ben. I find it curious that nobody in the alternative news venues like Alex Jones or others ever mention your ideas. I would really appreciate your insight into those venues because all of us are always exposed to so many information sources other than your reports. And honestly, your view is rather unique. Nobody mentions anything about a fake Trump. And even if they do describe certain portions of his actions to be out of character, are there other venues that you follow? People like Alex Jones have had a large amount of their, quote, conspiracy theories materialize into reality over the years. Why do you think he doesn't mention a fake Trump?
Well, Alex Jones is definitely controlled opposition. His name appears on the Epstein files, and he's what's known as a limited hangout. But there's certain subjects he avoids completely. For example, look, the thing about the fake Trump is not that hard to prove. If you see a picture of Trump standing next to a world leader, and they're the same height, when the original Trump was 6'3", and now we have one who's 5'8" or something, you can just look at the picture and see with your own eyes that he's a fake. He's not the same man. Look at the pictures. But why don't they mention it? I'll tell you why. Because most of them are afraid of being killed if they do. They have to stick to a certain script. And unfortunately, people who have appeared with me, like Robert David Steele, a lot of them end up being killed. And I've been told by I won't mention their names, but people who had me on, who have a big audience, were told that they received death threats and they couldn't have me on again or they'd be killed. So that's why they're what they're trying to do is channel the anger in a certain direction and limit the real information. But if you want some real good information, like try Henry Mako. Okay, he's Jewish and he reveals all this stuff very thoroughly. That's one place I look at. The Rumor Mill newsroom has been slightly lobotomized recently, but they're still pretty good. I think they're connected to the Habsburg dynasty, and they've been helpful. They're Christian, and I think they've been victims of the same people. But the other thing to do is always read both sides of the story. So read the Iranian news and the Western news. Don't just read the Western news. Read the Russian news and the Western news, not just the Western news. And whatever they agree on is probably the truth. But, I also don't try to get interviews with people because, again, we're dealing with murderers, and I don't want to put these people in danger until this is over. But we will take them down, and then it'll be everywhere. It'll be on all the big corporate news outlets. It's happening. It's already started. Even places like the Drudge Report are talking about Epstein. So it's going to end. But, you just have to ultimately look at the real world with your own eyes. And that's what I do. I'm a fact-based journalist. I have to be able to prove what I say in a court of law. And I don't do conspiracy theory. I do truth. And a lot of people are not allowed to speak the truth. Next question.
Ben, we have our last question for today. If the United States had lost 3 obsolete aircraft carriers to hypersonic missiles, thousands of families would know back in the United States. They would be visible somewhere. And I'm against any Satanist U.S. military, which I think we all are, which would be about only 10% of the military if you are correct. But Ben, I can't believe these aircraft carriers are sunk. There is no public outcry about this. Do you think that this may have been incorrect?
No, I don't. When was the last time you saw the USS Eisenhower or Harry S. Truman or Nimitz in the news? They vanished from the news. They were all over the news, and then they vanished. So I did post videos of the destroyed Eisenhower, and I looked at sites of the families, and at first they said, "Oh, I haven't heard from my husband in weeks. Have you?" And then they all got shut down, their Facebooks and everything else. There's a complete media blackout. As context, after the Japanese lost the Battle of Midway and they lost a bunch of aircraft carriers, all the reporters who were on those with that flotilla were imprisoned to make sure that Japanese people didn't learn they'd lost so many aircraft carriers. And I'm pretty sure something similar is happening to the U.S. But anyway, those 3 aircraft carriers were all over the news, and now they vanished from the news. U.S. aircraft carriers are obsolete sitting ducks, and if the U.S. military had any sense, they would mothball them all and reuse the steel for something more useful, like submarines. Okay, well, that's what I have to say for myself this week, and I hope to see you again next week.